Welcome back to Birth of a Racecar, capturing my journey from car restoration to the 2022 MG Car Club Speed Series. In this episode we're going to be tackling that nemesis of jobs. We're going to be bleeding the clutch. If you read the forums, this is the job that gives MG owners a whole world of pain. Lots of different methods are suggested, lots of issues with soft pedals, unable to get a good pedal at all. So I'm going to be using Gunsons Eezibleed. It's what I use to bleed the brakes. So I'm going to show you how I set that up and how I get my clutch pedal. This is my starting point then. You'll remember from previous videos that what I've done here is installed the brake, and at the same time I installed a new clutch master cylinder, so that's connected to the pedal underneath here. I took the opportunity at the time to bend the copper pipe. So you can see that comes here, it goes down by the side of the starter, but you'll see there it finishes at an open end. So it's not connected to the pipework, it's not connected to the slave cylinder on the side of the gearbox either. The big challenge when bleeding the clutch is this little piece of copper pipe here. If you look, it slants upwards, it goes round in a U and then back down into the car. So that is an absolutely perfect air trap. So when you're trying to use the manual method, pushing with your foot on the pedal and getting someone underneath the car to lock off, then this is the reason why it typically doesn't work. It's because you cannot push enough fluid fast enough past this bend in order to fill it and avoid the air rising up and getting trapped here. The other reason from my experience why air gets trapped is this little union here. So what I tend to do here is as I've got the pressure on the hose with the fluid going through, then I tend to crack this nut slightly until I can see it weep slightly around here, and that makes sure that there's no air trapped around this little area here. I've got myself here a new slave, new pipe, new lock washers, so new copper washers as well, so completely new clutch cylinder system. If you think about the amount of movement that there is within the clutch to get it to operate, it's actually very, very small. So making sure that your equipment is in top class conditions, really important. Pipes can stretch and corrode from the inside. The slave cylinder can become worn and start to leak. The pin that comes out can wear, whether that's on the cup or whether it's on the clevis. So lots of opportunities to wear. The bleed nipple can seep. You can get wear in the master cylinder as well, together with the wear in the clutch. That can cause people then to have crunchy gears and poor clutch operation. So by having a completely brand new system, a brand new clutch, I'm hoping that this job will be as easy as possible. Underneath the car, there's not much room to operate, but with the car up on stands, I'm able to get underneath it. Got our clevis here to connect to, and we've got our 2 bolts on the gearbox where the slave cylinder is going to go into, and our pipework will come down here to meet the copper pipework here. One of the things to check for is this arm. Just make sure it's not bent. The last MG Midget clutch that I fitted, I couldn't get it to bleed properly, and actually in the end it wasn't the bleeding at all. It was this arm that was bent as a result, which wasn't allowing me to get the clutch, and I had to replace the arm. So always worth a check before spending a lot of time on the hydraulics. Gunsons Eezibleed is a really easy system to use. If anyone's not used one of those before, you basically fill your canister here with your new fluid. You connect the pressure connector here to a tyre in order to give it some pressure, typically lowish pressure, so say 5-10 psi, something like that. And then as the pressure fills this bottle, it forces the new fluid through this pipe that you connect to the top of your master cylinder. That in effect pressurizes the whole system. So when you crack the bleed nipple on the slave cylinder, the new fluid is forced all the way through the system. And as you get the new fluid coming out with no bubbles, you simply tighten the bleed nipple, and there's the system fully sealed with new fluid. Fluid wise, the original spec was .4. I've got the advantage that I'm using completely brand new clutch components all throughout, new pipework, everything, so there's no risk of mixing or cross-contaminating fluids. So I'm going to be using some .5.1 fluid for my clutch. First up then, I need to fit all the new components. So there then is our new slave cylinder installed with a new pin and clevis. That's pushed hard up against the clutch. There's been plenty of movement there, so I'm confident that that's going to work. Not the easiest job, if I'm being honest. That top bolt is really difficult to get to, but with a little bit of patience, it's all installed. The clutch pipe connection at the bottom, a relatively simple affair of a locking nut on the pipe work, and then we can screw the copper pipe straight in. So now we're all ready to set up for bleeding. As with a lot of jobs then, it's all in the preparation. So I've set myself up with the pipe on the end of the bleed nipple. I've put a ring spanner over the nipple, ready to release. So I can now put my tube into a jar, pressurise the system, and then crack the nipple and watch the fluid come out. Here comes the fluid. So that's the clutch bled with the Eezibleed. I've got probably about an inch and a half of fluid that's been pushed through. It's nice and clean because the system is brand new. Got rid of all the bubbles, kept pushing it through until I had no more bubbles coming through. So now the proof is in the testing, of course. Difficult as a one-man band because you can't actually see down here when you're pushing on the clutch pedal. So what I'm going to do is video it so I can watch back the video and make sure that the clutch lever is moving correctly. So the lever is moving as it should do, in its home position. The roller bearing is up against the clutch. I've got a hard pedal, so as I push, I know that I'm pushing against the clutch, so that will release it, and I'm sure the gears will work correctly. The gearbox is nice and smooth, so I'm confident that that's the clutch bled correctly. Again, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for liking, thanks for your comments. We'll see you on the next video.